friends, in present video I am going to explain about principles of management given by Henry Fayol. Henry Fayol has proposed 14 principles of management. This is my second video on this topic. In first video I explained the first 6 principles of management. So first 6 principles related material also you can get in description box of that video. So that video link I am giving in the description box and in icon. In present video I am going to explain the remaining principles from 7th point to 14th point. You can get the material in description box. Let us start with the 7th point, remuneration of personnel. Personnel means employees. Remuneration means the reward paid to employees for their contribution. If employees are not paid well, they will not do their work with dedication, with honesty and full capacity. They will leave our organization at the first opportunity. So unnecessarily we have to spend money, time and effort for new recruitment. Therefore, this principle says that workers are to be paid properly. They should be paid a fair, satisfactory and reasonable remuneration. It ensures good relations between employees and management. Managers should fix a reasonable remuneration based on these factors: workers' ability, cost of living, work assigned to them, financial position of our organization, and competitive wages. Means salaries paid by other companies of same industry for the similar post. Types of remuneration. There are 2 types of remuneration: monetary remuneration, money related remuneration, and non-monetary remuneration. Monetary remuneration includes incentives, bonus, allowances, for example, educational allowance, medical allowance, housing allowance, transport allowance, compensation, facilities, for example, free medical facility, free education facility to workers' children, insurance facility, transport facility, etc. Non-monetary remuneration includes compliment, promotion, gifts, giving more responsibility. 8th point is centralization. There are 2 systems of management: centralized management and decentralized management. In any organization, generally you can see management in 3 levels: top level management, middle level management and lower level management. For example, take one public limited company. Managing director, CEO, chairman, they come under top level management. Department heads, for example, production manager, marketing manager, finance manager, they come under middle level management. In office, supervisor, and in factory, foreman, they come under lower level management. If decision making powers are concentrated in the hands of top level management, it is known as centralized management. Flow of authority is upward. For example, take fast food business, Pizza Huts, McDonald's. They follow centralized management over their various outlets across the world. The reason behind this is they want to provide constant quality and service to the customers. Decentralized management. If top level management shares their decision making powers with the middle and lower level management, that system is known as decentralized management. Thus, instead of one, you can see many centers of power. Here, flow of authority is downward. For example, take supermarkets. They have different store managers at various outlets. These managers take decisions. They frame strategies for their branch as per the economical, political and social factors of that particular area. Fayol is not recommending complete centralization or complete decentralization because both have some disadvantages. Too much of centralization has these 4 disadvantages. First one, unnecessary increase in the workload of superiors. Superiors means top level management. As they are only taking all decisions, their workload may increase. Second one, delay in decision making. As workload increases, top level management may not be in a position to take the decisions on time. Impatient and wrong decisions. So that workload may result in impatient and wrong decisions. Discouragement in subordinates. Subordinates means middle level and lower level management. They are not allowed to take any decisions. They have to obey the orders given by the top level management. Slowly, they may lose the interest on their work. Next, Disadvantages of complete decentralization. First one, unnecessary increase in the workload of subordinates. Second one, weak decisions. If subordinates are not capable of taking decisions, it may result in weak decisions. Misuse of authority. If subordinates are dishonest, they may misuse their powers. Fayol says that there should be a balance between centralized and decentralized management, which is known as an effective centralization. As per him, top-level management should retain the power of taking important decisions. They can delegate the power of taking routine and less important decisions to middle and lower level management. Important decisions means what? Decisions related with organizational goals, plans, policies, strategies, etc. Routine decisions means purchasing raw material, giving production targets to workers, granting leave to employees, etc. The degree of centralized and decentralized management in an organization means up to what extent centralized management is to be followed and up to what extent decentralized management should be followed. Nothing but effective centralization depends on some aspects. So while designing an effective centralization for organization, manager should keep these aspects in mind. First point, type of organization, whether it is manufacturing concern or trading concern. Similarly, whether it is a manufacturing concern or service oriented concern, whether it is a sole trading concern, joint Hindu family business, partnership or company form of organization. All these factors manager has to keep in mind while designing an effective centralization. Second one, size of organization. Generally, in case of small organizations, centralized management is advisable. In case of large organizations, decentralized management is advisable. Next one, nature of work. In case of innovative work, centralized management is advisable. In case of routine work, decentralized management is advisable. Efficiency of the subordinates. If subordinates are capable of taking right decisions on time, then we can have more decentralized management system in that organization. A proper balance between centralized and decentralized management system gives some benefits to the organization. Superiors' workload can be decreased so that superiors can concentrate their valuable time on important aspects and they can take right decisions. Similarly, subordinates get interest in the work because they are allowed to take some decisions. So this is all about 8th principle, centralization. Now come to 9th point. 9th principle is scalar chain, means organization structure, hierarchy, chain of command or line of authority. For example, see this pyramid. Here you can see two scalar lines from A to G and from A to Q. These two scalar lines represent two separate departments. For example, department 1, department 2. Here A is the head of these two departments. B and L are a level lower than A. C and M are a level lower than B and L, and so on. As per scalar chain, instructions, orders and decisions must move from top level management to lower level management, and suggestions, feedback, complaints must move from lower level management to top level management. Fayol suggests that organization must compulsory follow this scalar chain. Upward communication and downward communication must pass through every key of this scalar line. No skipping of any key is allowed. For example, F wants to communicate with P. Then F should inform that information to E. Thus, all the way up to A. Means E should inform to D, D to C, C to B, then finally B to A. Similarly, all the way down to P means A should communicate with L, L to M, M to N, N to O, and finally O to P. If this scalar chain is followed in any organization, there are some advantages. Let us see the positive effects of scalar chain. First advantage is scalar chain allows a clear system of authority and responsibility relations in an organization. Every employee comes to know where he stands in organization's hierarchy. He knows from whom he has to receive the orders and to whom he can give the orders. Nothing but he knows his immediate boss and his immediate subordinate. Second advantage, scalar chain allows a systematic flow of information in the organization. Third one, if this principle is followed, no communication gap will be there in any organization. While learning about scalar chain principle, you must know about one concept known as Gantt-Planck, means direct communication. It is an exemption of scalar chain principle. For example, F wants to communicate an important information to P urgently. If scalar chain is followed, if this lengthy route is followed, there is a possibility of delay in communication. Organization may lose one business opportunity because of this delay. In this case, Fayol suggests that F can break this scalar chain principle and directly he can inform the message to P. For this, F and P have to inform to their superiors. F should inform to E, P should inform to O that they are going to directly contact with each other. So this is all about ninth principle, scalar chain. Let us see the 10th one. 10th principle is order. By seeing this word, don't think that boss should command the employees. Order means a systematic arrangement of physical and human factors in an organization. Fayol says that organization must follow two orders, material order, social order. Material order is related to physical factors. Physical factors means land, equipment, tools, raw materials. So as per material order, these physical factors are to be in appropriate and economical place. For example, take raw material. If an organization contains factory building, office and showroom, the correct place for raw material is factory because labor works in factory. So while manufacturing the goods, if raw material is available in nearest place, in factory itself, then conveniently labor can take it without any wastage of time and effort. Similarly, computer. The right place for computer is office. Then only an accountant can conveniently use it. Second one is social order. As per this, workers are to be placed in right job. So right person should be in right job. As per his qualification, as per his attitude, as per his taste. If appropriate work is given to him, then we can expect more productivity from that person. Thus, as per order principle, there should be a proper balance between physical and human factors. 11th principle is equity. The most common complaint of every employee in any organization is the other employee was preferred over him while giving promotions or while giving increments. If employee gets that type of feeling on organization, then slowly he loses interest on his work. So this principle says that manager should treat all employees equally and impartially. It doesn't mean that same salary is to be given to all employees. So salaries will be fixed based on their experience, based on their efficiency. But same rules and regulations are to be followed by all employees. For example, the rules for granting leaves are to be same for all employees. Nowadays, so many companies are following this principle. Uniform dress code is maintained by the company. Medical facilities, transport facilities, canteen facilities are provided to all employees in the same manner. As per this principle, manager should not show any discrimination against any employee on account of caste, nationality, region, gender, relation, status, etc. So if this principle is followed, we can maintain a proper relationship between management and workers. So workers develop a feeling of dedication, honesty, attachment for their work. It increases overall performance of the organization. 12th principle is stability of tenure of personnel. Personnel means workers, employees and labor. Tenure means the period for which they are going to work in our organization. This principle says that worker is to be selected and appointed in our organization after rigorous procedure. Once if worker is selected manager should give minimum time to the worker to learn the new work. He should not keep on removing the workers for small mistakes. If workers are removed frequently from the job, it increases labor turnover. So labor turnover negatively affects the performance of the organization. If worker feels insecurity in his job, he starts searching for other jobs. If good opportunity comes, he quits our organization. Again, organization has to spend time, energy and money for new recruitment. Not only that, it negatively affects organization's reputation also. Therefore, manager should give a reasonable time to worker to learn the work. It is better to keep a stable worker with average performance than an efficient worker who simply comes and goes. If employee feels job security, then he knows that for a long period he is going to continue in the organization. Then he starts giving respect to the organization. He starts thinking for the development of the organization. He takes the responsibility of his work. So this is all about 12th principle. 13th principle is initiative. Initiative means taking the first step with self-motivation. Fayol says that manager should abandon, manager should leave his false sense of prestige, and he should encourage workers to participate in the management. He should allow the workers to give their suggestions, new ideas. Not only listening to their ideas, if their ideas are productive, then manager should take the decisions as per the ideas given by the workers. If manager follows this principle, gradually workers become an integral part of the organization. For example, take Google company, Apple, Facebook, Infosys. These companies are following initiative principle. They give full freedom to their workers. That is why the innovation level of these companies is high. If this principle is followed, these are the positive effects. These are the advantages of this principle. First one, increase in the thinking power of the employees. As employees are allowed to participate in management, employees start thinking by themselves. Thus, their thinking power increases. Second one, cooperation of the employees in the implementing decisions. As decisions are taken as per the views of employees, employees give their 100% cooperation with the management while implementing those decisions. Last one, increase in the sense of attachment to the organization. As management is giving value to their opinions, employees will develop a feeling of attachment to the organization. They start thinking for the development of the organization. So this is all about 13th principle. 14th one, esprit de corps. This is a French phrase, which means union is strength. As per this principle, manager should develop team spirit among the employees. He should not adopt a divide and rule policy. Team contribution is always better than individual contribution. While communicating with employees, manager should always use we instead of I. Team spirit ensures proper cooperation among the workers. So combinedly, they will try to achieve organizational goal. So this is all about 14 principles of management as per Henry Fayol. So hope this video is helpful to you. Thank you.